People aren't. Oh, good evening, everybody, and a very warm welcome to our Lyceum evening, coming to you from the Paul Spiritualist Church down on the south coast of the UK. We've got a wonderful guest with us. All our guests are wonderful. Do you know what? Every guest that comes on this brings their own uniqueness. And we have a very unique gentleman tonight, a wonderful Keith Giles. Keith, good evening, sir.
Hi, Laurie. How are you?
Absolutely marvellous. And
Brilliant.
thank you for being with us tonight.
My pleasure.
Now, I know quite a few of you may be aware of Keith Giles. Probably the Psychic Cop is your biggest well-known title. Would that be right?
Yeah, that would be my, what do they call it? Handle.
Yeah, your handle.
Whatever, yeah.
A big 10-4.
Yeah.
The Psychic Cop. But Keith's been in spiritualism longer than it's been invented, I think.
Yeah. When Pontius was a pilot, Laurie.
Someone, yeah. So, Keith, this is always something people just interested in. Are you one of these people that, from a child you were seeing spirits, or is this something that evolved through your career or personal life journey?
Yeah, I suppose the best way I describe myself is that I'm a healthy skeptic, which makes me always try and get the best evidence I can. Now, to go back to my upbringing, nobody in my family were any remotely way attached to church, as in spiritualist church. And I probably could say the first real experience that I had was I was about 5 or 6, I guess. I can't remember exactly. And I'd gone out with my aunt and her cousin and the cousin's child. And we went to a swimming pool down in Brighton. There used to be a place called the Black Rock. It's coming back, but we went down to there for my memory. We're going back there. And I was sitting happily just having a can of drink and a sandwich. And this panic was going on. And my aunt said, "Where's Ross?" I said, "I don't know." I'm like oblivious to what's going on. I'm just eating my sandwich. And then I heard this voice, almost like a schoolmaster, saying, "He's over there." And it was kind of, I didn't think anything about it. It wasn't rational that was coming in. I was just almost drawn to where 2 kids were playing in the water, in the paddling pool that's only probably about a foot deep. And there was Scott at the Scott? Ross, Ross, beg your pardon. Ross laying on the floor, drowning, basically. He was just laying on his back. So I picked him up, his mum came over, grabbed him, patted his back, and that went off. Now, that didn't mean much to me because I was very young. But later in life, we're missing my childhood, but the first real loss I suffered was my grandfather, who was called Charles, and hence I'm Keith Giles. That's my middle name. So I was working as a cop and I was engaged to my first wife called Maureen, and she was working at St. George's Hospital. I'd been to work all day from early in the morning, and I went to the nurse's flat that she was sharing, and there was only me there because all the girls were working, and this was about 5:30. And when you're in that, there was nowhere else to be except the bed in her flat. So I sat on the bed, sort of half a kip, because I'd been up since 5. And this voice said, "Look at the door." The same voice that I'd had with Ross experience. And I looked at the door and my dead grandfather was stood there. Now, he was stood there with his cap, his jacket. It was just so spooky, for somebody who wasn't really involved in that. And I got the willies, I was kind of, oh, blimey. And I went over to where Maureen was working, which happened to be A&E department. So I walked in there and she said, what are you doing here? I said, I'll tell you later. And it was that I told her, because I said, I could see the headline, detective taken to AE, frightened by a ghost. I mean, it's just one of those things. So that's the kind of, from here to there, lots goes on in the middle between there. But that's kind of where I started. I started then throughout my career having little things. Funny enough, my book, my autobiography I've just written, is called I Just Knew. And it's that because I just knew things. I couldn't tell you how, why, but I just knew things. But I didn't know it was spirit connection. I just knew things. And then I went and saw, making this very short, I went and saw a lady called Madge Summerfield, who was a wonderful healer and medium. And I sat in her development circle. So that's a quick rundown as to how I got involved in spiritualism.
That's fascinating, because I've experienced the voice twice in my life. And it's not, I can't, I'm really struggling to describe it, because it's just this voice.
Just a voice.
Yeah. I was out walking and it was near some cliffs around an old quarry. I used to live in London and I used to come down here at the weekends and just get out in the country and have a detox. And I was walking down this path and this voice said, if you continue down here, you'll die. And I just went, oh, okay. And I turned around and walked away. And a couple of minutes later, I'm thinking, what was that? Where was that? There was no fear with it. It wasn't, aggressive or pushy or demanding. It was just very plain, matter of fact. A month later, I was back down that way and I thought, I wonder what's down here. You get told that because you've got to go and have a look.
Of course you do, yeah.
Yeah. Where the path had gone, all that cliff face had fallen away. Now, when that fell away, I have no idea. But I have a very strong suspicion that it would have given way when I was, because I'm not exactly, Tinkerbell. I think it would have given way but it's fascinating, isn't it? I wonder if anybody's watching, if you've ever experienced that, the voice. Because
I'm sure lots of people have, but they ignore it because they do not know what it's about. If you understand, I didn't. The weird thing is, I just followed it. Followed it. It was like you can't stop it. It's weird.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what I had. It just said that, and I went, oh, okay. And I just turned and carried on walking. And there was quite a few minutes elapsed before my mind started questioning it. But I still accepted it.
But don't you think that now you've more versed with what we do,
that
you understand that somebody, a higher power than me, was talking to me? It wasn't somebody, it wasn't my mum, my dad, my auntie, it was somebody.
Yeah. Because we do, don't we? We contact many different levels and states of development and unfold.
I think the good is that you question it and you want to know more about it. And if somebody had said to me when I was younger, oh, you're going to be a medium. Well, they did actually. I'll tell you this in a minute. I said, what's a medium? I did not know what a medium was. And I married Maureen and she went to do some nursing, private nursing in a care home. And this leads me into how I became a medium. And she said, when a patient died, they were called laying them out. You know, polite that they were dealing with this. And she said to the nurse she was working with, "I wonder where they are now." And this lady said, "Probably standing here watching us." And it transpired that the girl she was talking to, her dad was a medium. And so they got talking about silly things and told me, I say silly things, you know, I mean, unusual things. And I found myself going to see her. And I knocked at the door, and she said to me, "Keith, go away, come back in a week's time, but I want you to draw a picture of my mum." I said, "I can't draw." She said, "I don't mind. Draw me a picture of your mum." So I was working on the Met Police Fraud Squad at that time. So I would sit down and try and draw a picture of her mum. No matter how poor it was, I was just trying to. But every time I tried to draw the left side of her face, I rubbed it out. I was using a pen. I'd scribble it out. I used a pencil. I'd rub it out. So I took it to her like, "Well, this is the best I can do, but I can't draw the left-hand side of her face." She said, "That's perfect, Keith." I said, "It's not perfect." Okay. She said, "No, to me, it's perfect. My mum had Bell's palsy, and she would not let anybody take a picture of her left-hand side of her face. They wouldn't let her take a draw of it." And I said, "Oh, right." That to me still didn't mean, you know, I was not educated in it, if you understand me. And I think lots of people miss out the opportunity we have because there isn't anybody to answer those questions. And I know you're one of the, I say athletic churches. In other words, you're always doing something. You're running here, getting things doing. And you allow people to come in to have your question and answer session. It doesn't matter. There's no such thing as a silly question.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's where it started. And I went to again, I'm trying to abbreviate this. I went to watch Percy Webster, his name was. I went to speak to him. I'll carry on the little bit of story. It's all in my book, but I say it's all away. I say it's all in my book. And do you know why I say this? Do you know why I say it? The truth's the truth, and you don't forget these little stories.
Exactly.
So, yeah. You know, and you could say, "Oh, Keith, you told us that 10 years ago." Well, it's the same story. Yeah. So I went to see him, and he was doing his dem, and he said, "And then my friend Keith's going to stand up and give a message." And I do apologise to Spirit and the church, but I turned to my wife and I said, "How the bloody hell am I going to do that?" I have no idea what happened. I stood up. And I gave some sort of message, I think. I don't know. But all I know is when I sat down, I turned to my wife and said, "I want to do this. I want to do this." So I was hooked then, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah, it does. It does. It does. Going back to The Voice, lovely Jan Wallace from France. She says here, she heard the voice. It told me to pull over while I was driving on the M4, and I did. There was virtually no tyre left on my rear and near side wheel. Yeah. Oh, that's fascinating. I'm going to do something with that. But I love about you, Keith, not your looks. So you're safe. Don't worry.
I'm surprised.
That you are very honest with your views about spiritualism. Yeah. And I know some people who've seen you online may have thought, "Oh, that's a little bit sharp," but do you know what? A dose of the truth from somebody else's perspective is always a good thing. I mean, you knew Gordon Higginson.
Oh, yeah, my hero, my king, the king of mediumship. That's what I call him.
Yeah, you who else?
Doris Stokes, Doris Collins. Go on, keep going. Do you want to talk about Jesse Nason?
Nason.
Yeah,
I like Jesse Nason. Her,
Bulge.
her and my mum were like twins.
Really?
Seriously. If you imagine Jessie Nason, you've got me mum, and they were just, and she was marvelous.
I've got great. I'll get. She used to live in a place that I'd go and see her, and across the road was a road called Jews Walk, right? She was Jewish.
Yeah.
And she used to have this wicked sense of humour. She'd say, yeah, so-and-so run down this hill, but Jews walk. You know, it's just a pun. And because she was Jewish and David was her son, and he took over when, sadly, Jessie... We went to... I was working in Lancaster, and I was working with Coral Polge, and in the evening was Jessie Nason and Robin Stevens at Lancaster Town Hall. And it was Jessie's birthday. So my wife, Maureen, we had a cake made for her. And she went and picked up the cake. And my son, Matthew, is no longer with us, unfortunately. He was sat in the car braked. He put his fingers in the cake. So we had to go and get it redone. So it's kind of like, the thing is, it's real. It's like messages are real. You know, you need the right ingredients and you need to put it the right way. But I just love the fact that I am very quizzical of what I do.
Yeah.
I don't just accept what people say. I'm sorry, that comes from my career as an officer, police officer, an investigator, you know. And I think it's fine. I have no problem if people come into your church, they don't accept it's a church until you tell them why it's a church.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I'm the president. What's the president? I don't know what a president is. There are people that don't know that, you know. Yeah. And we should be able to have the basics to explain to people why I believe, why I do things. And look, at the end of the day, people call me Marmite, and I'm quite happy with that. You either like me or you don't. Yeah. All right? And it's like a friend of ours, Craig Morris, I said to him years ago when he started, I said, Craig, one bit of advice. I said, if people are going to stab you, tell them to stab you in your chest because you can see who's coming. Don't stab me in the back. Yeah. And he repeats that, because what are we if we can't be honest? And you cannot live through life. A liar has to have a good memory.
Oh, very.
and so we've come across that in normal life. I say normal when we talk away from spiritualism. You get somebody saying, yeah, I'll be there Tuesday. I'll come and fix that on Tuesday. Yeah, you're coming Tuesday. Yeah, definitely. They don't come for another 3 weeks. And they don't phone you and they don't tell you. Do you know what I mean? It's little things like that. So I've always learned, you will find that when I was bringing my kids up, I said, I don't care whatever you do, if you get into trouble, just tell me the truth. And if you tell me the truth, I can help you. If you lie to me, I can't help you. That's how I've been.
Yeah. No, that's good. Another quick reference here to The Voice. Lovely Belinda. Good morning to you down under in Sydney. That's nice. Belinda was staying near here and she turned up at the church one day. You must get this with people. People will walk up and you'll go, "Ooh, you're interesting." There's just something there. And Belinda was very much of that character and very true. She's a lovely lady. So good morning, Belinda. But going back to the honesty thing, because we do pay a lot of credence to the pioneers, as they're lovingly called, like Gordon, like Jessie Nason, like Glyn Edwards, people like that, because they had such a remarkable ability to convey that communication.
Yeah, well, Glyn was lucky. When I say he was lucky, don't get me wrong. I met him when we were both young, right, Glyn and I, but he lived on the doorstep, more or less, of Gordon, and he had the opportunity, and Gordon took him under his wing, which was really great. He did it with me, but from afar. And I just think it's like you run circles and people do things online. There's nothing like doing circles in your church than there is online. It's the personal touch, the human touch that I love. I love. I don't know about you, but I think that's what we all need is hands-on. Hands-on is really good, isn't it?
It is. The virtual spiritualism that came in 2020 was needed.
Yeah.
It kept people in the loop. It kept people connected. If you remember, we did a series together, you and Bill, and there was so much going on, and it was very good. I do get a little bit concerned now at some of the things online which are being taught, which, in my opinion, I would rather not learn that in a virtual environment. I would learn that in the presence of somebody, and especially when you're talking about the more towards the trance states or the altered states of things. I think that benefits by that group energy, but also the ability that you're being watched over very closely, and a good circle leader is able to monitor like the energies, and you're just going to pick up if there's something there that needs tweaking or not.
I would agree, because when I'm teaching, and if they're doing meditation, I don't sit in meditating. I sit watching what the students are doing. And anyone who sits in my circle will understand that I pick up little things and they go, oh, yeah, I didn't know that. Or, yeah, nobody told me that. Because you've got to observe everything that you do, what your students are doing. And if you watch mediums, they miss so much information by how they feel, how they touch things, how they do things. And it's like, why do you keep touching your glasses?
Yeah.
You know, I'm giving you a message. Keep touching my glasses. Yeah. Well, your dad's telling me you've got his glasses. You know, that could be the answer, but people ignore. We ignore lots of things. How often do you find, Laurie, that if people came to find your church, you know where it is, you know how to get where it is. If somebody is not as observant as you, and I'm making this up, everybody, because I can't remember your church. I know where it is, but you know how to get there. That if somebody says, oh yeah, just go down the motorway, turn left and go to the third set of traffic lights and you're there.
Yeah.
It's like, you would say, for argument's sake, yeah, turn off the M3, get on the A26, go down the free, then you'll go past the Queen pub, and there's more detailed. And that's what mediums, in my view, and I apologise. Well, no, I don't apologise. If people are lazy, I know I'm saying, if people are lazy and they don't put that effort into it, the worst thing that I hear from mediums is take it home and you can sort it out.
Yeah. Big shopping bag when you're going out the service.
Exactly. That's what I used to say. I'll take 2 Tesco's bags empty with me. So yeah, that's a message for you. You can take it home. So yeah, am I cocky? No. Am I frank? Yeah. Am I honest? Yeah. My views might not be yours, but they're views. Everybody's entitled to have views.
Yeah. No, it's very true. Going back to what you were saying there about keep touching the glasses. I got a thing. I listen to what people are saying. I don't know, that sounds a bit odd. But if you actually listen to what people are saying, it's amazing how many people. One thing I do with all my circles is I forbid the word I think.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to hear what you think. I want to hear what the spirit will want to say. So I know. You know, be positive in what you say, because if you stood up there, oh, I think this is this, and I think that's that. That's it's too wishy-washy.
Well, I wonder if your listeners would agree with this or disagree with it. I've watched mediums say, I've got my guide telling me, you know, or that they've lost a loved one. Let's just say it's their uncle. Yeah, I work with my uncle. He's telling me that so and so. He's telling me so. I'm not interested about your uncle. I want to know about my mum, my dad, my family. So it's a bit of a cop out in a way to me that the communicator is your guide. Your guide. If I've heard any more people with names that are insignificant to me, you know, white cloud, green frog, whatever it might be, there's no evidence in that. That's my opinion, and that's just me. It's just me. I never saw Gordon Higginson stand and say, "I'm just going to press this buzzer." I've never heard Gordon Higginson say,
The Chinese has arrived, everybody, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I've never heard him turn around and say, sorry, everybody, turn around and say, oh, yeah, my guide's telling me, you know, like big outcall, whatever it might be. He is the most, I want to say, the most direct medium that I've worked with. And I'd stand and I'd watch him. And to be honest, I'd copy a lot of what he did. Not the way he spoke. You can't copy the way he spoke because he had his own way. But he would stand and address a microphone, and he would address people, and he would stand, and the way he portrayed himself, I loved. I loved the fact he had a command of, you know, the first den of any notice that I was Glasgow Town Hall, 2,000 people. And we sat in the front, and there was another lady, I've forgotten her name, and there was me and Gordon. And he's looking at me as they're doing a little chat about what he said. Keith, you should be making your first link now. Oh, yeah, okay, Gordon. Okay, you know, he was like, yeah, he was God to me. I stood up and everything went gold. I thought I was going to pass out. I've never stood in front of 2,000 people as a medium before with no script, nothing else but me and spirit, you know, and the communicator. It doesn't matter if you've got 2,000 or 2. Those fears are always there for me.
Oh, yeah, very much. Very much. That's... I just have, this is my theory. When I hear this about, you know, oh my God, it's this transference of responsibility I see people doing. Oh, my guides are telling me that, you know, I'm sorry. Yeah. Be responsible for yourself. You are the medium. Stop deflecting the responsibility to other sources. Take control of your mediumship and work with it.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. And the thing is, I don't want mediums to be disillusioned with what we're saying because it sounds like I'm moaning. Yes, I am moaning. That is the truth. But how do you learn to do things the right way if you don't know what the wrong way is?
Yeah.
So if you get into this habit of saying something and oh, it worked that time. I've seen it so many times. Oh, that worked, so I'll do that again. That works, so I'll do that again. And it's like, no, it's just like learning a script. I absolutely love people saying no.
Yeah.
Because then I go back and say, okay, why did he say no? Have I got this wrong? And there's not a problem in turning around and say, sorry, Laurie, I got that wrong. It's not your dad, it's your grandfather that I got. And the reason I know it's your grandfather, just for argument's sake, because he always wore a red hat and he had always half a moustache. And it used to be a joke in the family that he couldn't even see straight to cut his things. And you go, that's evidence. You know, I'm not saying it's that direct, but if you've got that type of thing, rather, my guide's telling me that, you know, you're going to win you're going to win when Liverpool play Timbuktu, or you're going to do this, you're going to do that. It's all. I love talking about real things that people can work with.
Yeah. Yeah, the lovely Belinda, and going back to what people have been telling him, and a medium told her once that her guides were telling him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know what I heard once? I won't mention the medium. But they said I mentioned Madge, right? And this other, we call it X, the other medium. So X said to Madge, "Oh, that's nice. Your guide has got down and kissed my guide's feet." Now, I wasn't there, but it certainly wouldn't have been the same answer she got. But it was like, where does the arrogance come in about I'm better than you?
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? But look, there's lots of people out there who started off, like I said, getting this voice or just knowing things, but they don't know where to take it. So we as mediums and you know, people that run churches, we don't give mediums enough credit of the time that they spend helping others, you know, whether it's in the development circle, whether it's, you know, I will openly say to people, "Oh, I really enjoyed that, Laurie, but can I make a suggestion? I'm not telling you what you've got to do. Can I make a suggestion? You know, if you give a message while you're stood like this, Laurie, half of it's going on the floor."
Yeah.
"Oh, I didn't realize I was doing that. Nobody's ever told me." Well, it's the same thing, isn't it? If you said to people, "Don't park in front of the front door because people can't get in and out," it's just a simple little thing that you and I are not frightened to accept a word of advice. You don't have to use it.
Yeah.
You don't have to use it. It's like me saying to you, "Laurie, you've got to eat lots of sugar." And you go, "I can't, Keith, I'm diabetic." "Oh, that doesn't matter. You've got to do it." Well, that's a stupid thing to do. But if you say to you, "Oh, Laurie, would it help if you had some sugar?" And you go, "No, not." "Oh, I didn't know that, Laurie." That's how I work with spirit. It's like, if I get it wrong, I want to go back and know why.
We see an awful lot of isolationism. I think that's the right word. Within our mediumship, because when we're going back to the era, excuse me, when we go back to the era we were referring to earlier, we had the saying down here, we had the old school mediums. Now, these were the mediums who were spawned in the 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s through home circles. And they really knew their stuff. They ran their circles. They would go out and serve all the various little churches.
Yeah.
I mean, round here, we're down to 5 churches. But if I go back 35 years, there was probably about 14. And some of these would be somebody's front room, but they would have a service in there on a Sunday and things like that. Anyway, that generation of mediums, they used to go around and they would support each other.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. You know, when you had the open platforms, this is where open platforms first came in. It was a chance for all these working circles to work on a platform under the guidance, usually of their circle leader, with the support. So, you know, gosh, some of the names down here. If one medium was taking her circle to the open platform, the other mediums would go along to see how they're doing and to offer that constructive support. But sadly now it's becoming a little bit like dog eat dog in some situations.
Well, I wonder what your viewers and that feel. Do they feel for them that they are supported by their teachers? Do they feel that they can't find support? Because I find a lot of people say, "I used to go to a circle, but they don't run it anymore because so-and-so's left." You know, say Laurie's left, he's now living in Southampton or Timbuktu. So they don't do it. And they say, "Why is that?" And it's like, I don't know. We haven't found anyone. And then I've seen this before because people have sat in a circle and they've not developed completely, they start giving circles. So the teaching waters down. It waters down. So it's like I'm saying, if you don't know how to do something, you can't teach somebody how to do it.
Exactly.
So I don't know how to do it. I pass it to you. You don't know how to do it. By the time we get to the third generation, they don't know how to do half of it. But there's so much we are missing about supporting each other that you mentioned, you know. And I'm not going into the politics of anything, but why do we divide? Why do we divide religions? You know, I'm talking about our own factors of it within spiritualism. Why? But to me, I run this lovely spirit quest. I do, and I have mediums from all over the world, all different, whether they're SNU, Greater World, Independent, whatever. They all work the same way. They're giving a message with the best evidence they can and the best, friendliest weekend that I have. And that's what it's all about, surely.
Yeah, it should be. I think it's probably 18 months or 2 years ago, it started being very much impressed on me, the importance of home circles again.
Yeah.
Because that is where you really do learn, when you have a very good teacher.
Yeah.
Or you have a teacher who's more than willing to say, bring in another teacher, recognize their own limitations and just say, well, next week we're going to work on this, and so is going to come in and work with you on that because they're really good at it.
I love the fact of you work with different mediums, whatever their backgrounds are. They got one thing in common. They want to communicate to the spirit world and give you the best message. And I say this as well. If you didn't like me, Laurie, right? You don't like Keith Charles, but he's given me a blinding message. It was really good.
Yeah.
And it's like, spirit find the right person for the right recipient at the right time. And I don't like the fact that people think, well, I don't like him because spirit have chosen you at that time. You know, my wife taught me a thing, Christy, my second wife, and she said to me when I went to, it's something we've discussed before, that I did a dem in Birmingham in a theatre, and we had 19 people, right? And they had ice creams at halfway to go around. We just want to get it done and go home. And she said, how'd you get on? And I said, so and so. And she said, well, they were the lucky ones that were there. Yeah. And I understand what she meant. It wasn't arrogance or just trying to spot. It's like those that were there were meant to be there. And you can have different congregations. You can have from 0 to 100 in your church. It doesn't mean the more numbers that you have makes it a better evening.
Correct.
You know, that's how it works. And I just think that you and I have a lot in common. We don't always agree, but that's the whole thing, that if you and I don't agree, other mediums that you work with, you don't agree, but you learn from it. And you can, this is the thing. I'm not going to talk to them a bit childish. I'm not going to talk to them anymore because I don't agree. You know? That's why I talk to nobody.
I'm not going to talk to them, but I will talk about them.
Yeah.
That's the worst thing, isn't it?
Yeah. It's funny that, not funny, it's sad that Belinda says that I never felt supported by teachers, It's shame, isn't it? Yeah, there we go. See, it's like it took her years to decide I was good enough. That's sad. That's sad for her. And Belinda, I'm glad that you've gone on your way, that you are at the moment, you know, that you're getting there, you know, because not everybody goes to one circle and stick with it for the rest of their life, but you'd learn from everything. I could not sit and watch one medium all the time.
Yeah.
I'd watch mediums and I learn from mediums, and I nick things from them, you know, like I did. It's like oh, I like the way they did that. He, she, whoever it was, and that is the beauty.
It is, and I sat in 4 circles as part of my development, and it was like natural attrition. I was moved on. I never went chasing, but the opportunities came up, and it was all amicable, and it was a natural evolution through the circles. But you do get people come in and say, "Oh, I want to sit in circle with you." I was going, "Well, why?" "Oh, because I want to be really good." Yeah, well, that's beyond my control. Only you can be really good. I don't quite get where you come, because you haven't got that natural rapport there. You haven't got that feel, because the circle is a living thing. It's a living energy.
Yeah, the first circle I went to, I used to drive 25 miles to this circle. And after about 4 weeks, I said, can't stay here. And they said, why is that? I said, basically, it's not a circle. It's not gelling. It's not working. You've got to be harmonized, haven't you?
Yeah.
Anyway, I left and they told me about 6 weeks later that it broke up. But that's when I went to Madge's circle, and the improvement in me and the awareness in me just seemed to shoot off, and it's like, oh, I'm learning this. And then I said to Madge, and the same thing I've said to Jules, is like, when you're teaching, you're learning at the same time.
Very much.
So it's a great thing, because, we were talking about Jules's circle just earlier, but I also find that when you're involved in trying to help others, you forget the I. And it becomes us.
Yeah.
So that's how it works. I see there's a young fella on there called Bill Rich. I don't know if you know him.
Not very early.
Yeah.
But early for you, Mr. Rich. You're normally not up until about 8 at night.
Yeah. Well, he's another fellow that I like, because we talk about meeting different mediums. We would, I'll tell you the secret. That's not a secret, but he's mentioned it. I said to Bill, this is talk about me being Marmite. There was a good friend of ours called Ray Edwina Brown, who was a psychic artist and all sorts of things. Used to run her magazine. Anyway, knew her for years. And then I said, I'm doing spirit quests. And I said, do you know any good mediums then? She said, well, try Bill Rich. He's a good medium. I said, right, you're telling me he's good. If you tell me, that's fine. Like if I said to you, have you got a good medium? I said. So I went to phone him up, but he didn't answer. His wife answered. And I said, oh, would you ask Bill to ring me? He didn't. So I phoned him the next time. I said, yeah, would you ask Bill to phone me? I said, and by the way, if you don't phone me, I said, that'd be it. I kind of put it in a different way, And he phoned me up, and I think he got in touch with me. He said, do you know what that Keith's like? She said, yep, you'll get it. That's Keith, And I just think there's discipline. This is the point of this. There's discipline. Yeah. If you discipline yourself, the first thing you got to do as a medium is, when you stand on a platform or give a message, is to be disciplined.
Very
definite Marmite, he says.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is true. And that is one of the qualities that we, the circles of our generation, God, we sound old. We were disciplined. I mean, I was sitting in circle when I was working nights on the railways. And I would get in at 6 a.m. on circle day and just think, there's no bloody way I'm going to be at the circle at 2 o'clock this afternoon. Well, 5 to 2, there I am, ready, because you made that commitment, you made that discipline.
But you made a good point there. You said 5-2. You didn't say 5 past.
Oh, no. Oh, no. 5-2.
You wouldn't get in the circle if it was 30 seconds past 2 o'clock, for example.
I've done that here. I lock the doors. I'm sorry. You know what time it is, and it is part of the discipline. But that discipline side, I notice there's so many cancellations now of mediums. I know we've got a lot of sickness going on. I know things happen. But it does seem to be much more commonplace now that people will bin the service for whatever reason. Probably like we were talking just before we went on air. It's too cold, they just drop it. And it's that discipline and
You know what?
dedication to the other
You know
world.
what I think that is disrespectful. It's disrespectful because to me, and this isn't, oh, you're wonderful, Keith, but my wife died on the Friday. On the Saturday, I was doing a charity den because on the days leading up to Christine, we knew she was going to pass at some time, right? Yeah. I won't go into it all now. It's a long story. But I used to say to her, Chrissy, on Saturday, I should be going off to do my charity thing, and I would do that. So it was also nothing to do with disrespectful to Christine. It was like she would have said, yeah, well, you better go and do it then. You get that support because people. I've done DEMS having had heart attack and been in hospital and come out, and 3 weeks later, I'm giving a DEM to 300 people in the theatre. It's not saying you're wonderful. Please don't think I'm being arrogant when I say that. It's just the way I've been. It's like my parents taught me, always be early, never be late, and this is what I don't understand. If you know you're going to meet traffic or you allow that extra time. Yeah. And it's the same that I can put a parallel to this. When people are going to do a demonstration, do they actually spend time for themselves before they get up there, rather than they get the first no, second no, oh, well, you're not listening, are you? Or you've got it wrong. Well, what about you? You might do it. And that's why in the days gone by, we talk about the pioneers, they did a lot of what I call basic, I want to say contact, because they would learn about themselves before they learn about how they produce how they do it. They would learn from themselves what their faults were. And how do you do that? You ask spirit, why am I doing this? Why am I doing that? And if you don't know, go to your school. I say school teacher, that'd be you, it'd be whoever it might be who's running the circle, and you can discuss things. And I just think that I will never stop, because Christine said to me, I got home one night. I'd been up early as a cop, but I was a detective, and we'd gone out and done stuff. I'd been at work at 6, and I left at 2:30, done me 8 hours. Then I had to go to Leeds, drive up to Leeds, do the DEM, which was lovely. I think it was the Palace. It was the one where they used to have the good old days on telly, the theatre. Yeah. So I drive up there. I'm pulling along my books in a one suitcase, and I got my clothes in the other suitcase. Get up, do the DEM, get home, and it's about 2:00 in the morning. And Christine happened to come to the front door. No, she was inside, but she came to, as I opened the door, she heard it and thought, okay. And she said to me, how long are you going to do this for? I said, till the day I die, probably. And that is me.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Going back to the high level of cancellations, again, I will emphasize, I do understand that things will happen at short notice.
Of course they will, yeah.
I don't have transport, so I rely on public transport. And I was doing a service away, which was like a 50-minute train journey. The trains going were becoming very disorganized due to delays, and they put a warning out saying services will be curtailed later on. So I just had, on the day, I had no choice but to say, listen, the trains are all up the street, I can't get up there. And it wasn't so much getting up there, the more concern was getting home.
Home, yeah.
Because, in all fairness, once you've served the church, you're out the door. If there's no train at the station, make your own way.
That I was when I had my first stroke, I'm partially sighted because of my stroke. So I had to stop driving. Well, I didn't have to stop, but it was best because otherwise I'd run people over. So they said, yeah, you can't drive. So I was reliant on buses and lorries, anybody that would take me, like I say lorries because my brother gave me a couple of lifts and he was a HGV driver. So it doesn't matter. If you want to get there, you'll get there, Anyway, one day I left home at 3:30, got 2 buses, 1 train, got the other end. To come back, it was the train, no buses, cab. Yeah. So I'd left at 3:30. I got home at 12:30. After my expenses, I got £4.80.
Yeah.
So I've worked 9 hours or been out 9 hours. So how much is that? When you're looking at it, it's like 50, 60 pence, for doing it, and it's like, if I wanted to make money, I wouldn't be a medium. I wouldn't be a medium.
Yeah. You get people saying, I want to learn mediumship. And I say, so you want to sacrifice like 40 Sundays in a year, family events, barbecues, summer afternoons on the beach for no money?
Yeah.
Because that's what being a medium normally entails.
And I couldn't be a stripper. So, that wouldn't be for me.
Bill, do not put any comments in on that.
No, I just think that if you haven't got a sense of humour, it's another thing that I learned when I was in the police. It's like if you haven't got a sense of humour, you shouldn't have joined. It's like that's the job. You get over it. Get over it. And this is the thing. But you will, as mediums, you will come across people that are rude, that are arrogant, that think you're no good because that you didn't give them the person they wanted to hear. That's all part of life. Yeah. And I just like the variety of, there's no better a theatre, if you like. I say theatre in inverted commas, of standing up, relying on spirit to give you a message, to give you the work that you have to put into it. And it's a challenge and I love it. I love it. Don't get me wrong. I also like the fact of getting things wrong, to own it. You own it,
Yeah, I teach them in circle, a no is great. A no means you go back to the other world. Yeah. But a lot of people are just freeze, don't they? It's rabbit in the headlights time. And it's like, no, don't do that. Be brave. This is what I say about, not I think, I know that this would have been right.
Well,
no, quite right.
My way is to say to people, the only way you learn is by getting things wrong.
Exactly.
It's the only way you learn. If you ever, like, for instance, if you put, let's say, a suitcase on top of your wardrobe, and every time you open the door, the suitcase falls down, hit you on the head. It's your fault. You put the suitcase there in the first place. So you learn, I should have moved it. It's the same with mediumship. Yeah. If somebody's trying to help you, like Gordon Higginson or somebody who has spent years doing it, then you have to learn. I learn all the time. And people will say, oh, yeah, Keith, but you've been doing it for so many years. Every day that I stand on there, every time I stand in there, it's the first time to me.
Yeah.
Because the people in there don't know how long I've been doing it.
I used a bit of advice you gave me just recently, because I said, oh God, when I do a dem, I love a divine service because you've got everything in there, you know, and you really get into the throes. And I said, but I always find when I do a dem, the first message is really a struggle. And you said, no, because that's what you're thinking. So I went out, I did a dem, and I went, right, the first message is going to be mind blowing. And it was. I was just like, yes, thank you. But
It's all about how you approach things, isn't it? Your church is your front room. That's how Derek Robinson, who was a president for years at Wimbledon Church, I think he spent 40 odd years in the church at one, and he used to say to people, when you come into my church, treat it as the Lord's front room. So you don't go in there chewing sweets, or you don't go in there doing something else, you know, show respect. And I don't see that's a bad thing. I don't see it's a bad thing. It's not going to the cinema where, as things close, people sit there with hot dogs and they don't stop eating, you know. I mean, I don't. As you can see, I'm self-like, I'm slim, athletic, good looking, all those things that people have to deal with. I don't, because I just think I am.
See you, you know that, don't you?
Oh, can they? Oh, right.
But that actually, that is really true, and actually, there's something behind you.
Pardon?
Oh, it's all right. Sorry, I can't. All I can see is this brown. I thought, what's that? Anyway, moving on. Bye. Yeah. I forgot where I was going now.
You said
the atmosphere within the churches.
Yeah.
Now, this is one of my common moments. I walked into a church once and I went, oh, the committee are at each other's throats. And immediately it was, who told you? I said, nobody. It's in your church. You can feel it the minute you walk in it. And you see it again in churches. There'll be niggles going on, you know, and, oh, you know, avoid that person over there. They're not. And I'm like, this is a church. This is a holy place. All right. And that atmosphere demands respect, and also it needs the upkeep of it. I'm a bugger. If I sense there's something going on in here, I will go in and go, okay, what's going on? What do we need to talk about? Let's get this, whatever it is, out in the open, spoken about and put to bed. Because sometimes I go into places and you can feel that underlying current of whatever has been going on. And you've got to try and work in this environment.
There's lots of little things that I've learned over my time. And I say this to mediums. Mediums, we're talking about travel. You might get there with a skin on your teeth to get there on time. Always have 5 minutes for yourself, no matter what pressure the church put under you. I was working in Kent, and I was a detective, and I was late, you know, leaving work, and I got there, and it was literally about 3 or 4 minutes to the time. And there's a man stood there and says, come on, come on, come on. And I was just parking the car, and he's shouting at me. So he said, come on, where you been? I said, don't worry, I'm better now, thank you. I was just missed that fatal accident. Yeah, well, you're late. We've got full church here. Come on, you're on now. I said, no, I'll be 10 minutes. And they said, why? I said, I need to go to the bathroom. So you've got time to do that. I learned that from a good old friend of mine who used to be on the stage. It's like, just tell them you got 10 minutes. Then you can compose yourself, you know? And I'm sure they would rather have somebody who stands on that platform who's feeling composed than somebody who's like this when they start, oh, I just got in. Oh, sorry, ladies, spend 10 minutes telling you what a journey I've had.
Yeah.
You think, oh, I could have had a message in that time, you know?
Yeah, true. Going back to your comment about being a stripper, the lovely Belinda says, why not?
Well,
there you go.
Well, the reason is, Belinda, I pay too many people to come and watch me.
This could be a new thing for you, an OnlyFans.
Yeah, well, Derek Robinson said, I think we're in the 80s sometimes we're talking and we're saying, there are not many people here tonight. He said, you know what we ought to do, Keith? You ought to do nude clairvoyance. He said, people are coming then. He said, even just to see what you look like. They don't worry about what you're going to say as a message. And it's the silly little things that Dale and I used to have that I would talk to him about it, because we spent 30 odd years together when he was running LAD promotions, and we traveled all around the country. We had some great times. And for mediums, this is, I see the problem now. If I want to come to your church, and we're not using you personally, if I want to come to your church, it all comes down to pounds, shillings and pence. And the churches say, and I know yours is not like this, but I'm saying churches will say, we can only afford £3.
Yeah.
You know, but are those people? Hi, Ashley.
Oh, Ashley, it's possible to shed.
Yeah, it's where the naked medium. Yeah, that'd be me. As a musical ring. She's saying he's got bells on it, but I just want to say that if you people say I can only afford £3, how much is £3 when they started doing it in the 80s to what it is today? You're looking at something like £12. That would be the going rates, I can't afford it. I don't get this. I know there are people that are in difficulties. I understand that. But your church and other churches I know will allow for people that are definitely and honestly like struggling. But then you get other people who say, I can't afford that. And then they finish saying, when's it finished? Because I'll go down the pub and meet my mates and all the rest of it. It's like, you won't pay £5, but you can't afford £3, but you go and have a drink that's going to cost you £5. It's all depends what you want, doesn't it?
And this comes down a lot to people's perceptions of churches and centres as well. We've got I can't even remember his name, so I can't mention him, but there's a medium coming to the local arts centre who does a lot of touring. And I had a quick look at ticket prices, and they're between 24 and 29 quid.
Yeah.
And already, it's not until another 4 or 5 months, and already half those tickets have been sold.
Yeah.
Now, when we put on an evening of mediumship here, a lot of the time we do accept money on the door, but I've had to turn it slightly, and I hope people will understand why when I explain this. When we say it's £8, £10 on the door, you do get to that point where people, tonight it is horrible out. Tonight it's drizzly, it's cold, it's uninspiring. Am I committed to going to the church? No, I'm not, because
the medium is. The medium is.
Everybody else is. All these lights are on, the heating's on, everything. But when you have a theatre, you do have to book up the tickets in advance. All right, you will have the last minutes coming in, but people will book up in advance. So we've just switched our online booking, that there's more of an incentive.
Well, this is me. I don't know what your viewers, listeners feel. What frustrates me is that mediums are charging or ask you as a president of a church to pay a lot of money to see a medium for 20 quid for your church, but they don't want 50-50. They don't want less. They want more than the 50-50. And I think that is criminal. That's me, because if you want to do that, go and get your own place. Don't, you know what I mean? Go and hire somewhere. Go and do so. I know lots of them do, but I just think that spiritualism is passionate. I'm passionate about it, and I believe that I want to help people as well, and I will help people. But I do not understand why churches, like you just said, they're going to a theatre and they're paying 27 quid, 28 quid, whatever. I understand. I promoted with Derek. I know the cost. I know how to put a hall together on the theatre. I spent probably 10 years going to different theatres. You name it, I've been there almost. That's not to be arrogant. That's just to say that's what I've done. And I know what it's like to put on other shows as well, which I've done. Now, it's all cost and effect. And if you are running your church the same way that I'm promoting Laurie at the Curzon Theatre, is 300, seats 300, is 25 quid to get there. If it works for me, then I will do it. If you're saying, oh, Keith, I can only get 3 quid. Well, Laurie, I can't come to your place and lose money because I can sit in my front room and do a reading and not move. I can go on here and do them online. And it's just how people think. And I think Belinda said it's the perception of the church that it's charitable. Well, you cannot go to the gas company and say, yeah, we're a church, so don't charge us anything, or we make a donation to you. We give you 3 quid.
Reverend Ashley, she agrees there. She wonders why people flock to a theatre, and yet the churches with exceptional proven mediums of a high caliber on each week are not always full.
Well, there's one little idea, a little thought, not idea. Is it because they don't see that person? I.e., let's pick a medium. We'll say Gordon Smith, right? So if he only comes to your area once a year, then just maybe that's why they will go and see that person. But if they saw Keith Charles at your church every 5 weeks, every 10 weeks, then, I don't need to go and see him, but there's that little bit that goes with it, but there's not a given that you're going to get a full house. There's no given, it doesn't matter who you are. I know lots of mediums, right, that go to theatres, and like me, they turn up with 19 people. We did it down at Spirit Quest. It was great. About 5 years ago, I always do a chat with the mediums. And I said, okay, tell us about the worst day you've had, the least amount of people that you've had turn up, right? And Billy Cook was telling us, Craig was telling us, Gordon Smith was telling us, and we were all laughing. It's like, it's not a secret. If I said to you, what's the worst attendance you've had at your church? You go, 6, Keith. It's a fact. It's not a lie. It's just, the way things are.
Yeah, very true. And this thing about people knowing the mediums, it's a 50-50 split on that. I've had it here where we've had visiting mediums come down who I'll try and tie in some private sittings as well after the service, etc. And when people don't know them, the private sittings don't sell. But the minute they've done the service and they've actually seen them in action, you normally end up selling out of the private sittings and some because suddenly they've seen them. I'm the opposite. I would much rather go if somebody said, oh, so-and-so is doing sittings. I go, oh, okay. Don't know them. That'd be interesting. I want to see what that's like.
Yeah, I'm not one for going to do to see people for readings. That's me. But then you get other people who go 10 times a week.
Oh gosh, yeah.
And I think there's a bit of discipline here and a little bit self-worth is that if you are one of those people that need to see mediums, I've had it when I was doing it was like people would say, oh, Keith, can I come next week? No.
Yeah.
Why is that then? Well, I don't know if I'm remembering what I've told you today in a week's time. Come and see me in 6 months' time. The most I will do is 2, maybe 3 times in a year, one person. But generally, I don't, because I think it'd be better if they then went and saw Laurie or saw somebody else, you know. And how do people get readings? Probably through word of mouth, isn't it?
And it's the message of the message in a reading. You know, when you have a really well delivered and good private sitting with somebody, this should enable you to progress on your healing route, if it's bereavement or whatever, but to enable you to evolve and go on. But you do get people, you get that wonderful sitting where the evidence really flows. They come out with that feel-good factor, but after a few days, that starts to wane a bit, and this is where it's a bit like a sugar craving.
Well, it is, and the thing is, I was just reading what Ashley said about the churches and that.
Yeah.
If we call them the normal churches, we're a bit abnormal to everybody else. They do not have the full house. They do not have enough clergymen. They don't. Clergymen are leaving because they don't earn any money. They don't, you know, that's the way it works. That's life, isn't it? You know, we don't have enough doctors, we don't have enough lawyers, we don't, whatever it is. But if we do not support our churches, your church, the church down the road, they won't survive. I know when I was I go back to the 80s, that there were churches within a mile, 2 miles of where I lived. Now they're not there. You know, people have given up churches and they're not going there. And is that the blame? Is that the blame of the church organizer? Possibly sometimes, because I always feel, this is me, I feel that the heart of the church is the presenter, whoever that be. If it's you presenting it or me or whatever, if you got somebody who can't even be bothered, like I went to a church with Bill Rich, and the president could not even be bothered to get out of their office to come up and say good evening.
Yeah.
So that does not inspire me with, oh, this is a friendly church, because the first person you meet is the person who's inviting you. You know, you get there and they, oh, hello, come in, we like a cup of tea. Oh, this is our president. And the president looks at you and gets back to doing what they're doing. It's ignorance to me.
Yeah, no, it is bad manners. And we do see, well, I see in churches, you have some that are struggling and not being able to progress or evolve what they're doing through lack of knowledge, understanding, ability, support, whatever. There's various factors. And then you have some of the other churches who are fortunate enough to be very financially well endowed, so they don't feel the pain in a way that, you know, if the service comes in, there's 10 quid in the collection and they've had to spend out 30 quid for the medium, 20 quid on the utilities, they're not feeling a pain because they've got this big reserve. In the middle, I mean, we're doing tomorrow I'm doing some of the old time services. So we're going to do a psychometry service here to go back to some of the things we used to do in the movement, because we're seeing people trying to bring in new angles. So it used to be, oh, we'll have 2 mediums. When we have 3, oh, we're going to have 4 mediums working tonight. Mediumship and bubbles. And, you know, they're trying to bring in all these new angles to generate additional bums on seats and additional income. Yeah, in spiritualism, there are so many things of the recent past that have just been forgotten and neglected.
It's forgotten because people don't want it. That's what I'm saying, because people now just want a message. The fact is, that's what people want. After my 46 years of doing this, I found out that people we had singers when I was doing a dam. We've had, well-known singers. People just want a message. They just want a message. That's what people want. When we talk about this is my view, psychometry. That's what you do in a circle to learn.
Yeah.
That's what I do. You do it in a circle. That's where you learn. But there's one thing that you cannot tell me when you look at psychometry. It's like you can tell me what you've got. Well, you take that away, you've got spirit. That's what it is. That is spirit that are talking to you. I don't need I'm not having a pop at you. I'm just saying you don't need a prop. And psychometry is a prop. The same way that people would say we use the Ouija board. It's the most boring thing in the world to do. I know Wimbledon's church was set on it, right? It was on there, but it's the most boring thing in the world. And the first thing that people worry about is, oh yeah, they're pushing, they're doing this, table tipping. It's all the same thing. You are open to criticism, and people will suspect that it's not right. So I just feel if you've got good mediumship, they can give you the philosophy. They can teach you how to do things. They can share. I don't mean teach. By sharing their experiences, you and I and anyone else can say, I learned from that. I learned from that. And I think that's something that I've noticed when I've been talking to people. A lot of people now want to learn a lot more. Young people that we kind of ignore, Where are the young people? I just like to see that this is important, that where are the mediums of tomorrow?
Yeah.
Where are they? It's and someone called a dem medium.
Yeah, so Reverend Ashley is just saying she's heard someone described as a church medium and someone called a dem medium. She was a bit confused. Do you think that there is a great divide coming along for spiritualism? Years ago, people were proud to be church mediums. There was not really anything else.
Well, yeah, but you give them the opportunity. The trouble is not with what Ashley's saying. I go along with what she's saying. You have a church medium, but you take a church medium and you put them in a theatre.
Yeah.
That is the most daunting thing they will do, because they could be talking to 12 to 20 to 30 people in a arena that people know what you're doing. They know. So if you said, I go back to me, if somebody used to say when I started, oh yeah, there's an anniversary for you in November, and I think, no, I got married in July or whatever. To me, it wasn't, I didn't know what, I had to learn the language. Anniversary. Do you know what I mean? You have to learn it. But if you go to, I put you in front of a dozen coppers and you give them a message, they wouldn't be saying, oh yeah, I can accept that. They'd sit there and say, yeah, tell me. That's the harder you're pushed, that you'll be surprised how much spirit give you. Spirit will give you what you need.
I agree. And as long as your mind doesn't throw up the barrier and saying, I can't do this, because the minute you say, I can't, then you can't. That's it.
You can't. You just got to go out to yourself. I mean this, how it might sound. You got to go out and say, I own this platform when I'm there for 20 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, and I own it because I know spirit are going to help me. And if you start off with the right attitude, then you will get there. You will get there. And I've seen mediums blossom over the years. I do say this because I love it. It's my baby, Spirit Quest. I've seen mediums that go there and have been given the opportunity to do 20 minutes, half an hour, and they've just grown. Ask Stephen Trolland. He came to our Spirit Quest and he was quaking when he was there. He really was. And he said, that's one of the best things I ever learned.
Yeah, but you gave him a bad habit now, because whenever he does a dem now, he's got to have a malt after, and it's all your fault.
Yeah, yeah, that was me and Bill. But he's gone from nobody, being with nobody to sort of like, I say nobody, a small church, and he was stood in front of 500 people.
Yeah,
and it was like I've got a picture of him with his whiskey, smiling, and he was like proud as punch, because it's lots of mediums have this problem of like confidence and fear. You can only get it wrong, for goodness sake. I got it wrong. I got it wrong. Yeah. So, it's kind of like that's how I see it. I would love to see Ben Smart said, well, I need more pushing then.
Yeah. Ben is a lovely man.
The more you push, the more you will get. Seriously. Seriously. Don't be arrogant about it. Don't be arrogant. Just say, come on, Spirit, I want more. I want more. And the only reason you're going to improve is saying things when you feel, I don't know if I could say that. Say it. And then actually, I could say that, because it might be that one little bit of information that you get that you think, I don't know, they're giving me a black pig. I can't say that. And then you go, oh, yeah, that was a really nice message. But when you're talking about my dad, he liked to drink. If you'd have said the black pig, I would have known 100%, because that was my dad's. It could be the most ridiculous thing that you get that turns out to be the best thing.
Very much so. Lovely Reverend Ashley just backing up there about Stevie.
Well, it's nice that Ashley said it took some courage. Absolutely. Absolutely. He did. And you're right, Ashley. He grew. He grew.
And Ben just commenting, you are right. I do hold back sometimes.
Yeah, don't.
Ben is currently in one of the development circle here, run by two ladies. In 2 weeks' time, he will be sitting in the circle being run by myself.
Right.
And there will be no holding back. Ben?
You're only going to learn by getting it wrong. You don't you learn from no's, you don't learn from yeses.
Correct.
That's my view.
Correct. Are you all right for time there, Mick?
Yeah, I was just looking. We're all right for another 10 minutes, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Absolutely. Good. Just pick up on a few of these comments here. Lovely Belinda, going back to an earlier topic. I feel it is bad manners not to acknowledge individual attendees on a Zoom workshop, which you paid £50 for. Happened recently with a very well-known UK medium. Wow. Now, I know. Well, I think I know your thinking on Zoom. You don't do Zoom, do you, at all?
No.
And that's absolutely fine. I think, sometimes this is going back to what we were saying about, being in the physical presence. Now, I know, like with Belinda, she's down in Sydney, and the opportunities down there to sit in physical, and I don't mean physical mediumship, I just mean a physical circle, are very few and far between. Again, this is why I think we need to look at going back to the home circles. And
can I just say something about...
Say what you like, it's your evening.
About when people do readings. People ask you to pay in advance. I will tell you, and everybody will know me, I don't. I will tell you what my fee is, and I will tell you that if you're happy at the end, you give me the fee. If you're not, don't pay me. Because there's got to be honesty in there between you. And if you, I'm not saying I'm a witch or anything, but if you don't pay for a genuine reason, that's not my fault. That's not my reflection on me. It's a reflection on the sitter. And if they can live with that, that's fine. Because in my eyes, like it or lump it, I think you're a thief. because if you've taken the time and you've done it, it's almost like under a pecuniary advantage. You're getting my time and I've done my best. And as a medium, your point is like, if it doesn't work for you, then say to people, and I know lots of mediums, right? You know, you can turn around and say, after 10 minutes, if it's no, 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 then say, sorry, we'll stop the reading. Don't let them sit there for another half hour, because I've had people do that who would say, oh, yeah, well, I was hoping that if I sat there that they would tell me more. You know, it's down to you. Mediums, you've got to discipline yourselves, like learners, I'm just saying, you know, like people that are developing. Discipline is what we were starting at the beginning, Laurie. You know, you've got to be honest. You've got to have discipline. And the negative side of it, I've seen people say, oh, yeah, I've done 18 readings today. 18 readings. Wonderful. Load of crap. Excuse me. Because you cannot sit down and do 18. If you're doing half an hour reading, that's 9 hours without having a break, without going to the loo, without anything. I couldn't stand here and talk to you for 9 hours without wanting a break. Do you understand what I mean in that day? So it's like, oh, yeah, I've been doing readings all day. Well, that's fine if you can stagger it and do what you do. But look, we are not machines, and it becomes a little bit commercial when people are saying, oh, yeah, I've got to do readings. I'm a medium. That's what I do. That's my job. Change your job. Change your job.
Do you think sometimes we focus maybe a little bit more on what the sitter wants than what the spirit world wants? Does that make sense?
Absolutely, yeah. Mediums, and I think this is correct about that. Well, we got so many mediums, is they saw it as a way of earning money. It wasn't when I started. You get £2. You get £2 when you're going, you know? And it's like I see that Jan says in France, spiritualist churches don't exist unless I'm visiting the UK. I wasn't able to say. What part do you live in, Jan? I agree. There's lots of countries that don't have spiritualist churches. I'm just nosy because I love France. I had family in France. So I'm just saying, we as mediums have a responsibility. And when people say, but it's my job, you chose that job. Yeah. You chose to be a medium. If you're choosing it because you want to make money, I will tell anybody, do not become a medium. If you think you're going to do it because you are reliant on one thing, spirit. The next thing you're relying on is people paying you. Normandy. Okay. Je connais Toulouse, c'est dans le sud. So I'm just saying, I hope she speaks French, but I'm just saying.
Would help.
It's like what mediums want to do. If they want to become a professional medium, just remember, you are a professional medium. Don't tell me you're, well, I've got insurance. The taxman doesn't care whether you got insurance. And do you all declare taxes? Do you all say this? It's like the church has to. You know, and Bill was telling me something the other day. It was quite interesting. If you got a car, Laurie, and you're going to church, and you've got if you haven't got business and pleasure, if you haven't got business in it, and you have an accident, you're not going to be paid out because you were going to work. You know, so I don't know. We digress, but I'm just saying there's a lot of things to look at. If you're going to be a medium, why do you want to be a medium?
Very true.
Why?
There you go. There's something.
Euro Spirit Quest, here you come. A very good idea that we've mentioned before. And Spirit Quest, we'll go anywhere. We'll go anywhere. I've been speaking to other people. It's if people want to come. Yeah, she does speak French because she said Toulouse in the south. Well done, Jan. Don't ask me what else to say, but I know that bit. The best thing that you can do as a medium to get on with your life is to see it as not being your life.
Yeah.
So if everything, I've had it like when Madge, there was a cousin of hers, and the first time I heard it, I didn't understand it. She said, I was talking to them upstairs today, and I said, you live in a bungalow. And it was, I didn't, honestly, I was naive, you know.
Yeah.
And she said, no, and upstairs were telling me, and I'm thinking she's cuckoo. Because you know what I mean? It's like you feel like that. So I have a life as a medium. I have a life as a person. I have a life with my family, and I have my life when I'm not. So mediumship to me is my life, but I don't act it every day. I've got to do this. I've got to do that.
Yeah.
And whatever job it is, it all gets boring at some time. Whatever you do, it will get boring at some time, you know, and then you'll get to a stage when you turn around and you say, I like Roy's comment. He said, good luck making a fortune in mediumship. Yeah. It's to me, it's where you want to be a medium for what you give, not what you get. And I've learned that over the you know, it's in my book, this lovely book that will be out soon for anybody who wants to see it. That's coming out. But I say it's in my book because it's the only way I can document things that people who know me, like me, don't like me, will say, well, at least he was honest. And that's the best way I can be as a person.
Yeah. I agree. Somebody said something to me a little while back. And it really...
About me? Was it about me?
No.
Oh, Laurie.
Sorry. No, it wasn't about you. But they said, yeah, you're you, Lawrence. We all know what you are like, but you're always consistent. And I thought, oh, that's nice.
It is nice.
Yeah,
it is nice.
Like that, definitely.
Because I don't like what we don't like. Never mind spiritualism. We don't like two-faced people in life. If you tell people the truth, it's your truth. You know, it's like I don't get up on a platform and tell lies. I'm not that clever. I'm not that clever to tell lies. I can only tell you what spirit are telling me. Because if I got into this position of I keep repetitive with my messages, I would be bored. The people would be bored. And the next thing they say is all his messages are the same. Yeah. Be original. You know, the way you become original is to be you. So if you're stroppy so-and-so, you tell people, yeah, I'm stroppy, but I'm going to do the best I can for you. Are you arrogant? I don't think so. But if I'm confident, you can confuse that with being arrogant. You know, I didn't get that until 46 years, and I'm still learning. I'm still learning. And I love what I do, and I do it with love. And that's the only way I can do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're here in person on the...
I am. Yeah, it's only a couple of weeks, isn't it?
Yeah, Monday the 24th.
24th, me and Jules will be with you. It would have been me, Jules and Bill, but as we know that, thanks, Jan, that you're right. Everybody has taken, they wouldn't want to take me anyway, but I'm just saying that I love your church. You know, it's got the right, and it pays really well. $2,000 to go for a den. That's great. But don't tell anybody, because I think you said you pay all your mediums the same, Laurie. So no, I just love the church because the church is what the heartbeat, and that is by the people that like you that run it and like the people that go there, and walk into a church with optimism, with love. I know you might go into a church feeling down or whatever. Just be you.
Yeah.
We don't. One thing that mediums do, and I say this to my my students, is medium scan. Medium scan. That's what they do. They scan. So they're looking at it's like, who am I going to? Well, you shouldn't have to ask who I'm going to. Spirit will be telling you you're going, where you're going, or you communicate. It's not finding the person first. It's like, who do you want to talk to? That man over there with the black hair. All right. Hello, sir. If I'm not with you, I'm very much around there, wherever it might be, rather than, who am I going to? Who am I going to? It's not a game. We've got to have the presence of confidence. And it's like, hiya, look at me. This is me. This is my helper. Who's that? Well, I'll show you. It's your mum. It's your dad. It's your sister. It's your child. They are real people. They're not just words that people give out. And I get peed off with mediums who will say things that they laugh and think, oh, well, we had a good laugh. Yeah. And then you say, what did they tell you? And they go, well, I don't know, really. When you start to digress what's said afterwards, yes, we can laugh with spirit. We can laugh. I can laugh when my mum died. What happened? She didn't die that, but it's in my book. You'll have to read it. But we laughed because that was love. That was love. I laugh every time my dad's anniversary comes up. Every time I think about and even now, I smile because he was that sort of man that instilled on me love and to be honest. And I sound like I'm just giving my funeral my funeral address here, but no, it did, and that's where I am today. I'm in a good place. I've lost. Do you know? I realise I'll end you to this, Laurie. I was talking the other day to my brother, and I'm the eldest surviving member of our family.
Ooh, you are the big
freaky, that isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think that it's been fun talking to you. People, if you've enjoyed it, fine. If you haven't, get over it, because that's what another fella told me, a comedian, and I carry that now. If I don't want to be rude to anybody or upset anybody, I just want to be me, and that's all you can be.
Yeah, Keith, thank you.
No, thank you.
Wonderful evening. Thank you. See
you in 2 weeks-ish.
Yes. 2 weeks on Monday.
Yeah. It's unbelievable, isn't it? Soon goes. Soon be Christmas.
Well, don't start.
So, thanks, Laurie. I appreciate it. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. It's very nice of you to come and say hello. So,
45 Saturdays for Christmas.
45 Saturdays.
There you go.
Okay. So that's 45 Saturdays. Yeah. That's about 45 Dems on a Saturday. You can work it out, can't you? That's another 45 services Laurie's got to do at the church. All right, mate. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Keith. Look after yourself, bud. All right, and we shall see you soon.
We will. God bless you. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for watching. Remember, if you'd like to watch the service from Paul, you can do that every Sunday morning on our Facebook page or our YouTube channel. Our Lyceum guest next week is to be confirmed. The week following, we have 2 gentlemen from Germany joining us, Marcel Jensen and Dr. Robert Berendt, who are both on their healing path. So we're going to be talking with those 2 wonderful gentlemen. In the meantime, it's good night from me, and it's good night from
me, and it's tout à l'heure.
Tout à l'heure.
Tout à l'heure. See you later.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.